Nora Chen had never felt more out of place in her entire life. She was standing in the middle of a rooftop garden in Beverly Hills. The flowers alone probably cost more than her monthly rent. String lights twinkled overhead like tiny suspended stars. And everywhere she looked, there were people who seemed born into wealth. She tugged at the hem of her burgundy dress. It was the nicest thing she owned. A consignment find that she had altered herself. Her cousin Madison had called her 3 days ago in a panic. "Nora, please, I need you to come. My event planner quit and I can't handle everything." Madison was getting engaged to a tech billionaire named Marcus Webb. The party was supposed to be the social event of the season. But with the planner gone, Madison was drowning. Nora worked as a freelance illustrator. She lived in a small studio in Silver Lake. Her days were spent drawing children's book characters and delivering sketches to local cafes. She was good at organizing. She was good at staying calm under pressure. So she said yes, not because she wanted to attend the party, but because she loved her cousin despite their different worlds. Growing up, they had been inseparable. Summer sleepovers, secret handshakes, dreams whispered into the dark. But Madison married young, married rich, and then divorced even richer. Now she moved through circles where people discussed yacht maintenance and private school waitlists. Nora arrived at the Webb estate at noon. The house was ridiculous. 6 bedrooms, a home, theater, an infinity pool that seemed to spill into the canyon below. She spent the afternoon directing florists and caterers and sound technicians. By 6 p.m., everything was perfect. The guests began arriving at 7. Nora watched from the kitchen as designer gowns and tailored suits flowed through the entrance. She felt a familiar ache. Not jealousy. Just the quiet sadness of standing outside a window looking in. At 8:30, Madison found her. "Nora, you have to stay for the party." Madison grabbed her arm. "You've been working all day. You deserve at least 1 glass of champagne." Before Nora could protest, Madison was pulling her toward the main hall. A glass was pressed into her hand. And then Madison was gone, swallowed by a wave of well-wishers. Nora wandered. She moved through rooms filled with laughter and expensive perfume. No one spoke to her. No one looked at her. She was invisible. And she was used to it. After 20 minutes, she needed air. She slipped through a side door and found herself in a narrow hallway lined with black and white photographs. The noise faded. She walked slowly, studying the images. They were landscapes. Deserts and mountains and oceans. Beautiful and lonely. She turned a corner and stopped. A man was leaning against the wall. He was tall, broad-shouldered, dressed in a charcoal suit with no tie. His dark hair was disheveled, as if he had been running his hands through it. And his eyes were the color of thunderclouds. Gray-blue and fixed on her. Nora took a step back. "Sorry," she said, "I didn't mean to interrupt." "You're not interrupting." His voice was low, slightly rough. "I was hiding." She blinked. Hiding. From a very boring conversation about cryptocurrency. He smiled. A small, crooked smile that made something in her chest tighten. "What about you? Are you hiding too?" She laughed softly. "I think I'm just lost." He pushed off the wall and walked toward her. Not quickly, but with an easy confidence that made her pulse quicken. "Then let me help you find your way." He extended his hand. "I'm Marcus." She stared at his hand, then at his face. Marcus, as in Marcus Webb. The host. The billionaire. Her cousin's future brother-in-law. The man who owned this house and probably this entire neighborhood. You're Marcus, she said. Her voice came out squeaky. He tilted his head. I am. And you are. Nora. She shook his hand. Her palm felt electric against his. Madison's cousin. His eyebrows rose. Madison didn't mention she had a cousin. She probably didn't want to scare you away with the weird artist in the family. Weird artist? He repeated. His smile widened. Now I'm intrigued. Nora felt heat rise up her neck. I should go back inside, she said. People are probably looking for you. Let them look, he said simply. He gestured toward a door at the end of the hallway. There is a smaller terrace out here. Quiet. No cryptocurrency discussions. Would you like to see it? She should say no. She was a guest. Barely. He was the host. And he was also, she realized with a jolt, extremely attractive. But her feet were already moving. Yes, she said. The terrace was small. Intimate. A stone floor with potted olive trees and a low glass railing. Beyond it, the lights of Beverly Hills spread out like a jewel box. The ocean was a dark shimmer on the horizon. Nora walked to the edge. She gripped the railing and breathed in the cool night air. This is beautiful, she said. It is, Marcus said. But when she turned, he wasn't looking at the view. He was looking at her. Her heart stumbled. Why are you looking at me like that? She asked. Like what? Like I'm interesting. Because you are. He stepped closer. His shoulder almost touched hers. Most people at these parties talk about themselves for hours without asking a single question. You haven't said a word about yourself. Nora shrugged. There's not much to say. I doubt that. He turned to face her fully. So tell me, what do you do, weird artist? She hesitated. Then decided honesty was easier than pretending. I illustrate children's books. And I sell sketches at a little shop in Silver Lake. It's not glamorous. But I love it. Marcus nodded slowly. That explains it. Explains what? He smiled again. That smile that made her knees feel unsteady. You have the eyes of someone who actually sees things. Most people look, but they don't see. Nora didn't know how to respond. No one had ever said anything like that to her. She was used to being overlooked. Used to blending into walls. But Marcus Webb was looking at her as if she were the only person in the world. And that terrified her. I should go inside, she said again. But she didn't move. Marcus didn't move either. Instead, he reached out. Slowly. Giving her time to pull away. His fingers brushed a strand of hair from her face. The touch was feather-light, but it sent a shockwave through her entire body. Nora. He said her name softly, as if tasting it. I've met a lot of people at a lot of parties, but I've never met anyone like you. She couldn't breathe. His hand lingered near her cheek. His thumb grazed her jaw. And then, the terrace door opened. Marcus. A woman in a gold dress stood in the doorway. Her eyes narrowed. People are looking for you. The toast is starting. Marcus didn't move immediately. His eyes stayed on Nora. I'll be there in a minute. The woman hesitated, then disappeared back inside. The moment shattered. Nora stepped back. Her heart was pounding. "You should go," she said. "Probably," he said, but he still didn't move. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a card. Plain white. His number printed in simple black letters. "Take this," he said. "Call me." Nora stared at the card. "Why would I call you?" "Because," he said. His voice was quiet, but certain. "I want to see you again. And I think you want to see me too." She opened her mouth to deny it, but nothing came out. Because he was right. She took the card, her fingers trembling. Marcus smiled. Then he walked back inside, leaving Nora alone on the terrace, with the city lights and the ocean, and a phone number burning a hole in her palm. She did not call him for 3 days. She told herself it was because she was busy. She had deadlines, sketches to finish, a manuscript to review for a publisher. But the real reason was fear. Marcus Webb was not someone she could casually date. He was not someone she could casually anything. He lived in a world of private jets and charity galas. She lived in a world of instant ramen and late-night drawing sessions. They had nothing in common, except for the way he looked at her, except for the way her heart raced when she thought about his smile. On the 4th day, she called. He answered on the first ring. "I was starting to think you lost my number," he said, his voice warm. "I almost threw it away," she admitted. "Why didn't you?" She paused. "Because you said I have the eyes of someone who actually sees things. And no one has ever said anything like that to me before." There was a silence. Then Marcus said, "Dinner. Tomorrow night. I know a place." She agreed, and hung up before she could change her mind. The restaurant was a small Italian spot in downtown Los Angeles. No sign on the door. No menu prices. Just candlelight and red velvet booths and the smell of garlic and rosemary. Nora wore her burgundy dress again. It was her only option. But when she walked in, Marcus stood up from a corner table, and the way he looked at her made her feel like she was wearing couture. "You came," he said, pulling out her chair. "You sound surprised." "I am," he admitted. "Most people would have run the other way. I'm not most people." He smiled. That smile. "No," he said. "You're not." They talked for 4 hours. Nora learned that Marcus hadn't always been rich. He grew up in a small town in Oregon. His father was a carpenter. His mother taught high school English. He built his tech company from nothing. Dropped out of college. Worked 16-hour days for years. Sold his first startup at 28. And had been trying to figure out what to do with his life ever since. "Everyone assumes I have it all figured out," he said, twirling pasta onto his fork. "But I don't. I just got lucky." "You didn't get lucky," Nora said. "You worked hard." "That's different." He looked at her. Really looked at her. The way he had on the terrace. "How do you do that?" he asked. "Do what?" "See through all the noise." She shrugged. "Maybe because I don't care about the noise. I just care about the person." The silence that followed was heavy, but not uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence that felt like a door opening. Nora told him about her childhood, about her mother who worked as a hotel housekeeper, about the father she never knew, about how drawing had always been her escape, her way of making sense of a world that often didn't make sense. I used to draw pictures of houses, she said. Big ones with gardens and swings, because I wanted to live somewhere beautiful. And now? He asked. Now I live in a studio with a leaky faucet and a cat who hates me. But I draw pictures of children laughing, and that makes me happy. Marcus reached across the table. His hand covered hers. His thumb traced small circles on her knuckles. I have a leaky faucet too, he said, but I don't have a cat. Maybe you should get one. Maybe I should. His eyes held hers, and Nora felt something shift. Something that felt a lot like the beginning of falling. They started seeing each other regularly. Secretly. At first, Marcus didn't want the press to find out. Not because he was ashamed, but because he wanted to protect her. Nora didn't mind. She liked the quiet dinners, the walks in Griffith Park, the afternoons spent in her tiny apartment where he would sit on her worn couch and watch her draw. You're staring again, she said one afternoon, without looking up from her sketchbook. I can't help it, he said. You're beautiful when you're focused. She felt her cheeks flush. You're just saying that. I'm not. He stood and walked to her. He knelt beside her chair. And for a moment, he just looked at her sketchbook. A drawing of a little girl feeding pigeons in a park. This is beautiful, he said. You should show these to a publisher. I have, she said. They're not interested. They're wrong, he said firmly. And then, without warning, he leaned in and kissed her. It was soft at first, gentle, questioning. But when Nora responded, when her hand came up to cup his jaw, the kiss deepened, became hungry, desperate. 4 weeks of wanting finally crashing into each other. They pulled apart breathless. Marcus rested his forehead against hers. I've wanted to do that since the terrace, he whispered. Why didn't you? Because I was afraid, he admitted. Of what? Of how much I already care about you. Nora didn't know what to say, so she kissed him again. That night, Marcus stayed. They lay tangled in her narrow bed. The city hummed outside her window. And for the first time in years, Nora felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. But happiness is never simple. 2 weeks later, Marcus' ex-girlfriend showed up at his office. Her name was Simone. She was tall, blonde, and dripping in diamonds. She was also furious. Nora learned about the visit from a gossip blog. Someone had taken a photo of Simone leaving Marcus' building, and the caption read, "Reunion or confrontation?" Nora texted Marcus. She didn't accuse. She just asked, "Who was that?" He called immediately. "That was Simone," he said. She wanted to get back together. I told her no. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't want to worry you. Nora felt a cold knot form in her stomach. Marcus, I can't be with someone who hides things from me, even if they're trying to protect me. There was a long silence. You're right, he said finally. I'm sorry. It won't happen again. She believed him. But the doubt lingered, like a splinter under her skin. A week later, Marcus invited her to a charity gala, his first public appearance with her. Nora was terrified, but she bought a new dress, emerald green, on sale, and she let Marcus pick her up in a black car. The gala was at a museum. Crystal chandeliers, a string quartet, waiters carrying trays of champagne. Nora held Marcus' arm like a lifeline. He leaned down. "You're trembling," he whispered. "I'm terrified," she admitted. "Don't be," he said. "I'm right here." For the first hour, everything was fine. People stared, whispered, but no one was rude. Then Simone appeared. She glided toward them in a silver gown, her smile sharp as a blade. "Marcus," she said, ignoring Nora completely. "You look wonderful." "Simone," he said coolly. "This is Nora." Simone's eyes flicked to Nora, assessed her, dismissed her. "Charming," she said. Then she turned back to Marcus. "We should talk." "There's nothing to talk about." Simone laughed, a brittle sound. "Oh, darling, there is always something to talk about." She leaned closer, her voice dropping. "Your board is still uncomfortable with the merger, and they listen to me." Marcus' jaw tightened. "That's not going to work." "Simone, we'll see," she said. And then she walked away. Nora felt sick. "What was that about?" she asked. "Nothing," Marcus said, but his hand was shaking slightly. Nora pulled away from him. "Don't lie to me," she said. "Not again." He closed his eyes. "Simone's father is on my board," he said. "She has influence, and she's been trying to use that influence to get back with me." Nora stepped back. "So this, us, could cost you your company." Marcus reached for her. "I don't care about the company. I care about you." "That's not an answer," she said. And she walked out of the gala. She didn't answer his calls for 3 days. She stayed in her apartment, drew sad pictures of rain and empty swings, and tried to convince herself that ending things was the right decision. Marcus was from a different world. A world she didn't belong in. A world where ex-girlfriends could destroy your life with a whisper. On the 4th day, there was a knock on her door. She opened it. Marcus stood in the hallway. He looked terrible. Dark circles under his eyes. His shirt wrinkled, like he hadn't slept. "You shouldn't be here," she said. "Probably not," he said. "But I couldn't stay away." He stepped inside. She didn't stop him. "I'm sorry," he said. "For lying. For not telling you about Simone. For making you feel like you were second to anything. You are not second, Nora. You are everything." She wanted to stay angry, but the tears were already falling. "You could lose your company," she whispered. "Let me worry about that," he said, taking her hands. "I built that company from nothing. I can build another one, but I can't build another you." She looked at him, at the dark circles, the sincerity in his gray-blue eyes, And she realized she wasn't afraid of his world anymore. She was afraid of losing him. "Okay," she said. "Okay." He pulled her into his arms and held her like he would never let go. From that night on, things changed. Marcus introduced Nora to his board, not as his girlfriend, but as the woman he loved, the woman he planned to marry. There was pushback. Simone's father threatened to resign. Marcus called his bluff. Then he took Nora to Oregon, to the small town where he grew up. He showed her his father's workshop, his mother's classroom, the treehouse he built when he was 12. "This is where I became me," he said. "And I want you to know me, all of me. Not just the billionaire." Nora smiled. "I already know you," she said. "You're the boy who built a treehouse so he could see the stars. You're the man who built a company so he could help other people see theirs. And you're the person who looked at me, a weird artist in a consignment dress, and saw something worth seeing." He kissed her. Right there, in front of his mother's old classroom. 3 months later, he proposed. Not at a fancy restaurant, not at a gala, but in her tiny apartment, on her worn couch, with her cat glaring at him from the windowsill. He got down on one knee, held out a simple ring, a diamond surrounded by tiny sapphires. "Nora," he said, "you showed me that love is not about grand gestures. It's about being seen, being known, being chosen. Every day, I choose you. Will you choose me?" She was crying too hard to speak, so she nodded. And then she said, "Yes. 1,000 times yes." They married 6 months later, in a small ceremony at the botanical garden. Just close friends and family. Nora wore a simple white dress she designed herself. Marcus wore a gray suit with no tie. Her mother cried. His mother cried. Even the cat showed up, sitting on a rock, watching everyone with judgmental eyes. "Nora," Marcus said during his vows, "before you, I thought success meant money, power, control. But you taught me that success means waking up next to someone who makes you want to be better. It means coming home to laughter. It means building a life, not a legacy. I promise to see you every day, even when you're hiding in the corner of a party, even when you're lost in your sketches. I promise to hold you when the world feels too heavy, and to let you hold me when I forget how to breathe. You are my home, Nora, and I will spend the rest of my life trying to deserve you." Nora wiped her tears. "Marcus," she said, "I spent my whole life feeling invisible, like I was standing outside a window watching everyone else live. And then you opened the door. You pulled me inside, and you didn't just let me in. You gave me a seat at the table. You gave me a place to belong. I promise to draw our story. Every page. Every chapter. The happy parts and the hard parts. Because every part of it is beautiful. Because every part of it is ours. I love you. And I will never stop choosing you." They kissed, and the garden erupted in applause. Years later, Nora sat on the rooftop terrace of their new home. A modest house in the hills. Not a mansion, but a home. with a garden and a swing and a studio where she could draw all day. Her first children's book had been published the previous year. It was about a little girl who felt invisible, and the boy who saw her. It had sold thousands of copies. She was working on the sequel. Marcus walked up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist. "What are you thinking about?" he murmured. "About that first night," she said. "The party. The hallway. The way you looked at me like I was the only person in the world." "You were," he said. "You still are." She turned in his arms, looked up at the man who had changed everything. "I love you," she said. "I love you too," he said. And then he kissed her. Under the stars, with the city lights twinkling below, and the ocean whispering in the distance. Nora had entered that party as a woman who doubted her own worth, invisible in her own life. But Marcus saw her, truly saw her. And in that gaze, she discovered not just love, but herself. Sometimes, all we need is someone who shows us that we were always enough, always worthy, always extraordinary. True love doesn't complete us. It reveals us. And maybe the question isn't whether we deserve to be loved like this, but whether we have the courage to believe it when it finally happens. Do you believe?